Hi, you guys. Welcome back to my studio. I had a bright idea that I would give you guys an altered card challenge. I have this deck of cards that I am going to be using. They're a favorite of my kids when they were little, and I unearthed them not too long ago. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to start altering this deck of cards. And I thought maybe some of you might like to join me. So grab a deck of cards and let me know in the comments how many cards you think that you would like to alter. And we can just have a little challenge running until we get tired of altering cards. So I have a graphic here of not really rules, but just some guidelines that we can all follow. And let me know what you want to do in the comments. And I'd love to see your work. If you have a channel, let me know where you're at so that I can subscribe and watch your progress. Or tag me on Instagram. It's Sally.Van Nuys on Instagram. The link is in my description box below. So let's just have some fun with it. I hope you'll join me. So I just grabbed a card at random from my card deck, and I am going to apply 2 coats of gesso, just plain old white gesso. I dried it in between coats just to give everything a good base to stick to, and then just dried it off really well. And I just have a inkjet printout of some old handwriting paper, and I'm just trying to eyeball it and size it to cover most of the card. Close enough. No, maybe not close enough. There's a little hangage on the bottom, so we'll get rid of that. And then we're gonna just glue it down with some matte medium. I hope you guys will join me in doing these cards. I did 3 of them today, and it's just really a lot of fun, and I can see that it's going to be a godsend for using up some of my scraps and ephemera, and I have just so much stuff I would never use in 3 lifetimes. So maybe at the end of this I'll come up with some kind of a drawing or prize or something when we all decide we're done altering cards. I don't know how long I'm going to go. I'm trying to commit to doing this whole deck. So we'll see how long it takes. You know, you can go for as long as you want to or as short as you want to. I'll come up with a hashtag that we can use on Instagram if you're on Instagram, and we can kind of watch each other's progress and share our cards there. Or you can go to my Facebook page, which is it's in the header, my header for my channel. It's there. It'll take you to, it's Sally Van Nuys and Vintage on the Ridge. They're just it's a combined page, but we can use that page, and you're more than welcome to post your pictures there. So then I finished gluing the paper to the front, and I just thought I'll just hit the back of this with some gesso too. And the brush, kind of fortunately in this case, the brush was, you know, those brushes that you have that didn't get quite clean, still have maybe a little bit of matte medium or some sort of adhesive in them, and the ends of the bristles are a little stiff. Yeah, that's what I had. But it kind of made cool marks. So I just went with it. And I did clean it after this session, and now it's all soft again, but it wasn't when I used it. So there's my base, front and back. These go really fast. It seems like maybe they don't, but especially if you're a planner, I was kind of stopping and grabbing stuff and trying things and kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I wasn't sure where I was going to go after I put this paper down. So I just grabbed some gesso on my finger out of the lid of the container and just smeared some gesso around the edges and a little bit onto the paper. just 'cause I like it. So then I went to my ephemera and garbage box, and I have a little piece of a book spine right there that I'm going to use my pokey tool. I think that tool I had from way, 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 way long time ago when I used to do lampshades, pierced lampshades. Pretty sure that's what that's from, but I'm sure they make them for other things. But that's what I had. That's what I'm using. I like to pre-poke my holes and then the needle goes through the paper easier. Now that's a um, oh darn, I can't think of the kind of needle it is. I used it to bind my hooked rugs, so I used it for yarn. It's not cruel, it's something else. But anyways, I'll think of it in a second. Um, but I just put some hemp cord through the needle, and then I'm just going to string that little round number 25 onto the piece of the book spine and just tie it off, and then I'll glue that along the top of the card. Tapestry needle. I knew I'd think of it sooner or later. It's a tapestry needle. So it's pretty heavy, thick, and it was kind of hard to get through the smaller holes that I had poked, but we made it. I did kind of crack that book piece, this piece from the book spine, a little bit, but I didn't worry about it because I knew I was going to glue it down anyways. So I took out all of my struggles of tying the knots and threading the needle, and a seamstress I will never be. You should see me on a sewing machine. It's a nightmare. So I kind of futzed around with it and getting it the way I wanted it to lay. But I liked it. We'll definitely do that again. I think it looks kind of cute. So I'm just going to use some heavy matte gel medium and glue that along the top of the card. Oh, just matte gel, not heavy matte gel. I had both out, I think. I'm just putting it on kind of thick so that it'll go in all the little nooks and crannies of that piece of book spine. Skeleton parts. I love taking books apart and using the colored covering from the book covers. You can peel that right off of the cover usually, and then pulling the spines apart. And I just have a box of just book parts, and I just clamped that down so that it would stay in place until it dried and I could keep working and not worry about disturbing it. And I had pulled out some other pieces of ephemera that I thought I might want to use, and some scraps of paper, and a Tim Holtz paper doll, and I just fussy cut her, took the background off from around her, which probably wasn't necessary, but I like the way that she looks. You can see more of the handwriting behind her with her cut out, because you know, card's not a really big space to work in, so that worked better. And at this point my fingers have a lot of glue on them, so I'm just grabbing a piece of paper towel and pushing her down with that, and then also trying to get any excess matte medium that might be oozing out, get that off. And you see me lose that. I'm going to cover up that tiny little red spot, and then I can't find it later. Now that 2 was white, and I just painted it with some burnt sienna acrylic paint, but it's just thin paper and it's curling and sticking to my fingers, so I grab my tweezers so that I don't have such a hard time getting it down and having it sticking to my fingers and not sticking where I want it. Now it's like, okay, where's my little circle? I don't see it. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. That little circle, I think, is a piece of Tim Holtz ephemera. So that's on heavier paper. I didn't have any trouble holding on to that. It did stick to my thumb, though. I picked it right back up again. So then I'm just going to stack just some pieces of old paper that I pulled out. I'm just going to stack those across the bottom. I think it'll be fun as I go. I have like a bronze colored binder ring that I'm going to at least start putting these on just to keep them all in one place and so I can look at them, just thumb through them. I may end up having to go to a bigger binder ring if I do the whole deck, which I hope I do. I'd like to. I may get tired of doing them, but you know, who knows? They do go quick, and like I said, I'm happy to use up my scraps, so. But it'd be fun. You could glue them into a journal. You could, you know, paint a box or something to put them in. Stack them in a little tray. You know, just whatever, however you want to display yours or store yours. And I have just a little piece of scrapbook paper or packaging paper that has a measuring tape on it. I'm kind of a sucker for measuring tapes. Well, anything with numbers. I just love numbers and I don't know why, because I just like the graphic appeal of the numbers, because I'm terrible at math. I mean, really bad at math. I find that a lot of creative people are not real math whizzes, so I don't feel so bad the more people I hear say they're bad at math too. It's like, oh good, it's not just me. So I'm happy with that so far. I'm just going to get rid of the other pieces of ephemera that I had pulled out and didn't use. And then I went to my button box, well, one of my button boxes, and I found these cute little pearl buttons. One has a little metal piece in the middle, but they both had shanks on the back, which is what I wanted. I didn't want to have to sew through the buttons, so I just threaded the hemp cord through the shanks on the back, and then I'm just going to sew it through front to back and then tie it off on the back. Easy. When it comes to sewing, easy's my middle name. If it ain't easy, I ain't doing it. So you see what I'm doing there. So I just went through on one side and pulled that string through, and then went through a little ways over and pulled that side through, and then I'm just going to tie it off. And that's basically it. I think I'm going to go around the edges with a little bit of paint. I still had some of that burnt sienna paint left on my craft mat that I used to paint that number 2. So rather than just wiping it up or letting it go to waste, I thought I'd just put some around the edges of the card where you could still see the gesso's peeking out there and the paper didn't quite get to the edges, so that's what I did around the edges. It was starting to dry up, so I didn't get a lot, but I just wet my finger and went into the pile and got what I could get. Just give it a little grunge. And I think that's all it needed, was just a touch of something there around the edges, so that seemed to work okay. It's okay with me, so that's what we did. But that's the first one, and I like her. Of course, it's vintagey and it's grungy, and so of course I would like it. Oh, because I want to put these cards onto that binder ring that you see laying there, I need to put some grommets in the corners, so I just punched a hole and went way off camera, but I punched a hole in the corner with my crocodile, and then I'll just set that red eyelet there so it can get put on the binder ring. I think I bought that crocodile when they very first went on the market. It took me forever to figure out how to use the darn thing. And it's really not hard, but I guess I made it hard. So there she goes. Card number 1, done and on her ring. So I hope you'll join me. Stay tuned to the very end for some still pictures. But now I wanted you to see what I got. I won some ephemera from the Mad Fox on Instagram, and I opened the envelope and took it out to see what I had won, but I haven't. Everything's in a cellophane bag inside that it's really old green faded paper that I definitely will use, but I haven't opened the envelope of goods, so I thought I would do that with you. And I did speed this up a little bit so that this video wouldn't be too awfully long and you wouldn't get too awfully bored, but it's some really cool stuff. Most of it, I think maybe all of it, is vintage, you guys. So I was just thrilled. I never win anything, truthfully. I know a lot of people say that, but it's true. I don't. So I was just floored. I mean, there were a lot of winners. She's really generous. I bought some stuff from her after I won this. And even with the stuff that you buy, she sends free stuff. So, but there's just a lot of really, like that's probably 60s advertising, an inventory ticket. And then there's a little manila envelope with stuff in it. And I can use the envelope. Just a little piece of somebody's ephemera, a label, a cashier number ticket, another label. Not sure what that was from. I was looking at it while I was showing you and couldn't figure it out. Those stamps say Corn King on them. I know we had S&H green stamps when I was a kid, so I think it's probably similar to that. And then this cool little glassine envelope that's embossed with like a seal on it. And that had even more stuff in it. So tickets and stubs from I don't know what, a little postage stamp, swimming club ticket, gasoline coupon. I'm not sure when those were used. And a 25-cent ticket, probably amusement park. So I was really pleased with all of that. So I hope you'll join me for this altered card challenge. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with some friends. Maybe they'd like to join in too. And in the meantime, go make a card. Bye.